Hello and welcome to today's talk on dealing with difficult clients. Now, we all have them. Hopefully you love most of your clients, but occasionally we pick up one or maybe a few more that aren't quite ideal for our practice. I'm Della Hudson. I'm the author of The Numbers Business and some other books. And I speak, I write, I coach accountants and bookkeepers to run a better business. So I don't get it right all the time in my own practice, but here's what I've learned over the years. So dealing with difficult clients. Once a year, we set out to triage our clients, and we call them A through to D. And you will have your own definition of these, but the definition that we use are A clients are our ideal clients. We can't get enough of these. And you might only have one, two, or a handful, depending how big your practice is. B clients, they're the mid-sized ones, they're good clients all round. But the majority of our clients are C clients. They're just bread and butter clients. They're nice people, the work's a good enough fit, and they pay a reasonable fee, but they're not the big bucks. They might have the potential to grow into B or A clients, but they are just our bread and butter, and we enjoy working with them. And then we have the D clients. The D clients might be on their way out, but here are a few other ways that you can deal with them. But your definition of a D client won't be the same as mine. So you run your business, you decide who you want to work with. So we like to, at Minerva Accountants, we like to work with growing businesses. We work with small business up to 10 million turnover, although most of ours have just a million or less. But we work with them up to 10 million. After that, they're too big for us. Some of them, if they're below about 50,000, are too small for us, and we refer them elsewhere. We get the people who like to do things manually. We're a digital firm. We work remotely. We don't have physical offices. We don't handle paper. We don't have printers. So my ideal client is very different to yours. And you might even have a niche as well. We don't have a niche. I know all the marketing people tell you that you need a niche, and they're probably right, but I like the variety. And it's my business, so I do it my way. So what sort of clients do you have? We can probably all agree on these. They're toxic clients. Just nobody wants to work with them. They're too big or too small for our practice. They never follow the advice you give. Now, it's only advice. We can't make clients follow our advice. But if they never follow it, frankly, they'd be better off with another accountant. If they're not profitable for us, they might be profitable for somebody else, or we might need to revamp the services we offer or the fees that we give. Sometimes we just don't enjoy the work. We might not enjoy the people. They're a D client. We might bimble along with them until we replace them with somebody else. We've got the ones who always call out of hours. We've got those with incomplete records. We've got people who are always late, the time suckers, the non-payers, and those who need other services that we can't offer. So it's best for them to be with another accountant. So what sort of actions can we take? Well, Larry Late always brings his books in late each and every year. He might even promise to do better next year. Who knows? One day he might actually achieve it. So we would put Larry on our D list, and we try to do something about him. We would train him, we would give him deadlines, we would give him reminders. But ultimately, if he doesn't change, he's out. Weekend Wendy pays her fee, thinks that entitles her to calling you all hours of the day and night, and then following up with a text, email, and a WhatsApp, calling your mother to give you a ring, because she thinks she's paying a fee, which to her is probably quite large, maybe not to you, and therefore she can access you at all times of the day and night. With Weekend Wendy, we just set boundaries. We use a voice over internet phone number, which means that clients don't have my personal mobile number. That number is answered by an answering service. So you can have it come to your phone, but apparently to a different number. We have an answering service who answer all our calls, and they filter them. They get rid of it's really good. They get rid of all the cold callers. So that's about half our phone calls gone. That saves us a lot of time. If you're interested, they're called Answer It. And we've been working with them for over 10 years now. They're absolutely brilliant. Other call providers are available and answering services. Thought I'd share that one, the company we work with, because I do find them so good. So Weekend Wendy, and if Weekend Wendy does call you on the weekend, you don't have to answer. If you answer her calls or respond to her messages, you will reinforce that. So have an out of office on your emails at weekends if necessary. Frankly, I hope most people don't need that. But if you are struggling, then have an out of office on the weekends with your actual working hours, 9 to 5, 9 to 3, 9 to 6, whatever you want to do. Some firms only work Monday to Friday. So make sure they're clear. So Weekend Wendy, you set the boundaries, and then you can use a different phone number or answering service to reinforce that. Shoddy Sharon, bit of a nightmare. Sorry, bookkeepers, these are the ones that I refer to you. So we do a little bit of bookkeeping in-house, but only if it's, that they need about an hour a month. It's probably not worth them going to a bookkeeper, but it fits in quite nicely with the stuff that we do and gives us an extra touch point during the year. So if Sharon's bookkeeping admin even is rubbish, then I'd be looking at getting a bookkeeper for her or putting her onto our bookkeeping service of the right size. Bookkeeps are fabulous. They're worth their weight in gold, and they can just create order out of chaos. That's their real strength. So if you're an accountant who doesn't want to deal with that, then get yourself working with a good bookkeeper. Stingy Steve doesn't like paying the bills. And it might be because he's not making much profit, or it might be that he's making huge profit and doesn't understand the value of what we're doing. So 2 approaches with Steve. Yep, you make sure that you know what you're worth. So you charge what you're worth. If he doesn't like it, he can go as well. And the other thing is to make sure that he understands your value, that you're not just filling in forms. You're not just doing something that can be done by AI. So showing your value. We've got non-paying Nigel. Well, frankly, if he's not paying, I don't care if I upset him. I'd rather not upset him, but if he's not paying, he's not a client. So we just go straight for the, we use Xero for our own account. So that sends out weekly reminders going from, oh, have you received the invoice? We're a small business, and we really love it when you pay us on time, because that goes straight to our mortgages and things like that. So we've got the plea for the small business, and also the, have you just overlooked it as the first one, and they gradually get stronger and stronger. Because accidents can happen. People can be on holiday, they might have received the email or got around to opening it or something, or forgotten about it. So all sorts of reasons. And if somebody sends me one of those, I'm absolutely mortified. I'm the one who's embarrassed for overlooking payment, because I like to make sure, I'm a small business owner, so I like to make sure that I pay my small business suppliers quickly as well. So if Nigel has then ignored all those emails, reminders, then we send a final one with the 7-day notice of legal action. Because if there was a problem, we've asked him, is there any problem, any reason he can't pay the bill? If you can't pay the bill, then we can be fairly sympathetic to that. We might talk about how he can pay, and we can do that through a 3 installment plan through Klarna or something like that. So you don't have to provide the finance, Klarna will do that for you. And we do go on, and as a small business, we invoice the debt collection fee and the interest. They're not much, but I invoice them and I insist on collecting them on principle, because people shouldn't be pushing small businesses around. There is a cost in our time to collect a debt. There's a cost in the money we're not earning on our accounts elsewhere. So make sure that you're collecting that. And then we do go to legal action if necessary. Small claims court, you can raise the money purchase order yourself, and that usually does the job. We've got extras. Ellen always wants something extra. So most of our clients are on an annual plan that allows us to throw in one little extra each year. So it might be that they have a mortgage reference this year, or a zero setup another year, because I just like to keep it simple and include them. If you don't, and for those where we don't have that enough leeway in our budget to include that, you need to get into the habit of the phrase, yes, and that will cost. So yes, and that will cost X amount, or X amount per hour, depending whether you know exactly what is involved, or if you need to do it on an hourly rate. So make sure that when you agree to do the extras, it's yes, and that will cost. Ignorant Isla, just don't deal with them. If they're ignorant, as in they don't know things, then we can do a training thing, and we have lots of help sheets, we have lots of online training videos and things like that we can send. If they're just ignorant and rude, then we just ditch them, we don't even revert them elsewhere. And then we have Dave at the pub. Good old Dave, who offers all that possibly illegal, certainly inappropriate advice to our clients, who, fortunately, I have lovely clients. For the most part, they'll come and ask us about something, and I'm able to explain why it's not right for them, and encourage them to come to me with those, because I'd rather deal with them when Dave mentions them, because I might have missed something. I'm not perfect after all. I'm the first one to admit that. So we invite Dave's input into our conversations, and we're able to put our clients right with that. And that's where we include telephone support with all our contracts. So for me, telephone support, if I can answer it straight away, either by phone or email off the top of my head, then that's included. If I need to go away, look something up because it's highly technical, or do some calculations, then that is potentially a charge. So that's good old Dave at the pub. So what do we do with these? We set our boundaries for those who are overstepping, whether that's not answering the phone out of hours, using answering services, using your out of office, things like that. We set our boundaries over how many reminders we're going to require of our clients. We set our boundaries as to how we receive information. For us, we must receive it digitally. We don't handle paper. We set our boundaries on payment terms and things like that. So work out your boundaries and then stick with them. There's rarely a time when you need to make an exception. We took on a client who had been treated for cancer, so he was late. I think he came to me sort of last week of January. So I said, we're unlikely to get it all in for you, but we'll do our best. He accepted that. And because there was a genuine reason, we pulled out all the stops and we got everything in for the 31st of January for him. And next year, he was on time. So that was absolutely brilliant. There's always a bit of a chance when somebody comes to you in January. I tend to not take clients on in January, because if they're late one year, they're probably late in future. But this was a genuine case why he was late organising himself in January after 6 months of cancer treatment. And it worked out well. Had he been late the following year without a valid excuse, he'd have gone onto our D list, and late 2 years in a row, he's out. The other thing we can do, if we've got non-profitable clients, we can look at increasing prices. I do a whole other talk on that, so we can look at that separately. There are lots of different ways to do that. I'm not just one of these software providers who says, oh, you need to increase your prices in order to make a profit. I'm an accountant. I do that myself. I look people in the eye and explain why we need to have an increase. So been there, done that, got the t-shirt and happy to share it with you, but in a different talk. Referrals. These are brilliant. I have just passed over a chunk of smaller clients to another small accountant who they did actually pay me for those because I handed it over as a chunk, but usually I would just, if it's just here and there, I refer out to other accountants. If the client's too small for me, if the client's too big for me, if the client needs intense tax advice. So I'm a general practitioner, I'm a chartered accountant, I can handle a certain amount of tax, but anything out of the ordinary, they'll get a better service elsewhere. And we also have the do nothing option. Now, I don't mean do nothing forever. We can wait and see. So as with the client who had cancer, we didn't need to take a view straight away. We dealt with him there. I would say if somebody's on your D list for 2 years, they should be, the second year, they should be out. So if you've tried to do something and it didn't work, then they should be out the next year if they haven't reformed. You might actually want to offboard them gradually. So you might operate a one in, one out policy. So as you get a good client come in, you offload another one so that your fees aren't too affected. I mean, generally, I'd say just offload them sooner rather than later. Sometimes you just need the money coming in, unless, of course, you're making a loss on those clients, in which case you will be financially better off by not having those clients on your books, and just refer them somewhere else or increase their prices, whichever is appropriate. Disengaging them, it does happen. You have to do it. You don't have to tell them why you're disengaging them. Actually, you're creating sleepless nights for me, and I really hate dealing with you. We tend to go with we're reorganizing the business, and we don't think we're the best accountant for you anymore. So if it's just that, they're lovely people who might be somebody else's A client, or at least a C client, then we'll make an introduction where possible, because we like to look after our clients all the way out of the door. If they are just obnoxious clients, then we just disengage straight away. But no matter what, we are always polite and professional. There's no reason not to be polite and professional, because they speak to other people, and we have had ex-clients will refer somebody back to us because we are more suitable than their own accountant. So we disengage, send the disengagement letter, we tell them to get their new accountant to get in touch with us, and we'll ensure a smooth handover. And we do try to ensure a smooth handover as far as possible. So disengage as positively as you engage them in the first place. I know it's a pain if it's during January or a busy period, but we do try to look after them as they go out of the door. And sometimes clients leave us for the right reasons. And I've had a couple of clients come back to me because it turned out that actually the grass wasn't greener on the other side. So be polite and don't slam the door behind them. Always be professional. And then once you've figured out what sort of clients suit you best, your A clients, you set this as your marketing avatar, and you have a process that brings you in more of those A and B clients. And if you're marketing for A clients, you're bringing some B's and C's at the same time. So again, another webinar on that. We've got the Numbers Business book. We've got the Numbers Business online courses that talk about all this sort of thing. And we make this an annual process. So we tend to sit down in February. Everybody thinks February's quiet, don't they? But we have so many annual processes that we do in February and catching up on any work that didn't get done. So we sit down and we do it as a team as well, because I don't always see things that my team see. So that's our annual process of going down our client list in class A through to D. Profitability is a big part of it, but there are other reasons as well. So why do we do this? Well, I said earlier, it's my business. I choose who I work with. It's hard work running a business. So let's make it as easy as possible for ourselves. If we're working with people we like, we do better work. If we're working with ideal clients who fit into our systems better, we do better work for them, and we can give better advice. So if they fit into our model better, then it's more profitable, which is our primary reason we're here. But it's also better for our mental health to deal with people that we like being with, and it's more efficient if they fit into our existing systems rather than us having to do lots of ad hoc stuff for them. And basically, it's your choice who you work with. So you might love the sort of clients that aren't right for us. I appreciate there are some clients nobody wants to deal with. They're the ones, when I do the respond to the professional courtesy letter, I'd say, yeah, I'm delighted to hear that you're taking on so-and-so. So if I seem very pleased at receiving your professional courtesy letter, do read between the lines and be a little bit wary yourself. But it might be that you can handle that better than I did, especially if you get on it from the start. So run your business your way. I can only advise you. But we do have a bonus book. If you don't already have a copy of the Numbers Business, then scan the QR code in order to get your free copy of the award-winning. Yes, it won at the Business Book Awards back in 2019, which also tells me it's due for a second edition. So that's on my list to do, to rewrite a second edition, which will be about 30% new content, just updating everything as we go. We can also help you with coaching, individual or group coaching, and the Numbers Business courses online. I've mentioned some of them as we went. So we're there. People have said, I set it up because I started my first business just on 25 hours a week, which was school week at the time, and I now like to just, now my kids are grown and flown, I still choose what hours to work, but I help other accountants to do that. One of my coaching clients wanted to lower her golf handicap, so her aim was to play golf twice a week, and her handicap is now down. Somebody else was so stressed, it was his wife noticed he'd started whistling again. So if you're a whistler and you've stopped, perhaps you need to have a little look at what's happening in your life around that. and we may be able to help. Just have a little look on the website, have a little look. If you see something you like, contact me before Friday and I'll give you a discount code for 25% off if you're a member of the Accounting and Bookkeeper Support Group or one of our other groups. I'm looking at time. I realise that we try to keep these short, so I'm not going to do questions now. I will do them. If you want to drop me an email, I'll do those for you there. So I'm Della Hudson, author of The Numbers Business. I speak, I write, I coach for accountants to help you to run a better business. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.